Oh, what's good, YouTube, man? It's Gary with another Fan TV back at you with another video of the content in this video. Go smash that like button at the content in this channel. Go and subscribe, man. Look, trying to be more consistent with talking about the Ravens. You know, it's offseason time. Trying to get back in the album a little bit. The views are a little low because I've been gone inconsistent back and forth. So y'all can do me a favor. Definitely like, comment. You know, if you're new here watching the videos for the first time, go ahead and subscribe to the channel too, man. I'm gonna be doing a lot of Ravens content. All right. Um, what I want to talk about today is trade candidates for the Ravens, right? Or a lot of people that I've seen linked to the Ravens. Okay. You know, every offseason this happens where um, this guy, that guy becomes available. And, you know, Ravens fans, we tend to want a lot of players to come to the team that's probably not going to come here, right? Now, there's three players that I've seen that's kind of like little small, little rumors, right? Um, it's JC Horn, Jair Alexander, and DK Metcalf, who just today requested a trade from the Seattle Seahawks, right? And the Seahawks are giving him the space to go out and find a trade if he so chooses, right? So that is a whole new saga unto itself of the ever going NFL offseason, right? All right, so first of all, JC Horn, that's probably not going to happen, right? You know, he's a young player. Carolina's not going to let him go. I mean, if they were to let him go, it's probably going to be, second round pick, something like that. Ravens aren't doing that. So that one was one of those rumors that, one of those aggregated accounts they put out there. I can't see that happening. I believe he's going to be a Panther for a while, right? Now, let's get to kind of the main two, right? Jair Alexander and DK Metcalf, right? Let's start with DK Metcalf because that's the one that just happened today. That's the most recent one. That's the one that's on everybody's mind. That's the one that I've seen people say, well, if the Ravens offense adds DK Metcalf, we are officially unstoppable, right? And I don't disagree, right? DK Metcalf will be a great addition to this Ravens offense. A true X big receiver on the outside that could win one-on-one. Not the greatest route runner in the world, but he can win with physicality, speed, and toughness, right? He can win with those kind of things, right? It'll be the kind of receiver that Lamar Jackson has truly never had, right? He's never had somebody 6'3", 215, 220 pounds plus, and then DK Metcalf on top of that is fast as hell, right? So all those kind of combinations and traits go together, that would be explosive for the Ravens office. I mean, Lamar Jackson won the MVP with good receiving core last year, and in 2019, a below average receiving core. So you throw DK Metcalf into this one, and now you have, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, DK Metcalf. That's great, right? Um, I'm just gonna say pump the brakes on it. I just don't see it happening for the Ravens, right? And I'm gonna give out reasons why I just don't see it happening, right? I'm gonna be honest and I'm gonna be consistent about it, okay? So really the number one overall reason I do not see this happening is the head coach is John Harbaugh, right? We just got to call it right there. We got to think about the kind of personality that DK Metcalf is, right? DK Metcalf has a true superstar wide receiver personality, right? If he doesn't get the ball, if he doesn't feel like he's in the rhythm of the game or he's involved in the game plan, he pouts. All right. I watched it with the Seahawks. I've seen his frustrations. He's a good player. And sometimes that pouting can get in the way of what he does, right? Now, for me, I watched NFL a long time. I really don't mind my wide receivers wanting the ball, right? To me, I know that gets looked at as like a negative thing. Oh, you're selfish. You're looking out for yourself. What about the team? But if a guy wants to be a part of the game plan, he wants to make his impact on the game. He wants to be involved. That's a positive to me. I don't look at it as a negative. But we got to think about John Harbaugh, right? Think about the situation the Ravens just had with Deontay Johnson. Now, DK Metcalf is miles better than Deontay Johnson is, right? But Deontay Johnson was a cheap swing. Didn't cost Ravens anything to come bring him on, and he barely played. He was pouty, and he got out of here, right? I talked about Deontay Johnson a lot last season, right? He was wrong on his end. As we see, he's on what, three different teams in one calendar year. But at the same time, or really four different teams, really. I mean, Steelers, we don't got to go through it. But anyway, he was wrong on his end. And then I thought the Ravens didn't do enough on their end to kind of accommodate for a guy that, you brought in here for a reason, right? But anyway, that situation is the past, right? DK Metcalf's personality is very, very similar to that. What he carries himself, where he wants to be involved in the offense is very, very similar to that, right? So John Harbaugh already showed he's not going to deal with that, right? That kind of big personality, can be pouty, can be come across as overly aggressive. He's not dealing with that, right? How many times have we said that? Well, John Harbaugh shipped out all the Ravens leaders, and now we're left with the kind of guys that Don Harbaugh wants to coach. This has been said plenty of times, and not just by me, right? So I just can't see the Ravens um, breaking that code to bring in DK Metcalf. Would I love it? Sure. Do I think it's a realistic possibility? I do not. Okay. Um, and then right, if you want to even go past the coaching, right? Let's say the Ravens do something that is out of ordinary. They trade a high draft pick. Seattle was talking about a first round pick because this rumor came out last week with DK Metcalf wanting to be traded, and that the Packers were heavily involved. And this little, I don't want to say a fake trade, but a proposal came out that pretty much the Seahawks wanted the Packers first round pick and a wide receiver. So they wanted the first round pick and Romeo Dobbs to go back to Seattle for DK Metcalf, right? That was just a fake proposal that was out there. Um, didn't really seem like there was any truth to that, okay? But that asking price is not going to fly to be for DK Metcalf, right? He's probably going to go for a second, third round pick. I would imagine a second round pick, right? That's probably what DK Metcalf is going to go for, right? So let's say the Ravens, who love their draft picks, Eric DeCosta said, I can't wait. He said it this offseason again. I can't wait to use all 11 draft picks. To me, that's a mistake. But we know how Eric DeCosta works. He loves taking the draft picks. If he can take 11 players, he's going to take 11 players, right? I've said this before. Package up a couple picks, move up in the top 100. That would be my goal. That's not how Eric DeCosta feels about it, right? He's going to take 11 guys. So now you're going to ask him to part ways with one of his most prized possessions. He did it for Roquan Smith, but offense, we know they're a little different. One of his prized possessions, second round picks. I don't see it. Then on top of that, DK Metcalf has already said, or his agent has already said, that the new team that he wants to be traded to, right? He wants to be traded to a contender. Cool. That's what the Ravens are. But he wants to be paid a new contract on top of the trade, right? So now the Ravens are going to give up a second round pick and then pay DK Metcalf. That will be so out of character for the Ravens. I just cannot see it happening, right? Now you're going to say, well, everything you're describing, what they did for Roquan Smith. I know. I realize that. But the Ravens historically have treated offense and defense very, very differently. We got to be honest about that. We know that, right? And on top of that, Roquan was paid $20 million a year, right? Not a small fee, but $20 million a year. I would imagine DK Metcalf is going to want more than $20 million a year, if I had to guess, right? So with all of that being said, I just don't see how DK Metcalf ends up being the Baltimore Ravens. I really don't. All right. Now, if he is, and it comes to fruition, I'll hop on here and make another video immediately saying I was wrong, and I can't wait to see him in that purple jersey. He's gonna have to get a new number because Kyle Hamilton already has 14, but I would love to see him in that Ravens purple. Right now, the last guy I mentioned from earlier is probably the most realistic guy, honestly, and that's Jair Alexander, right? Cornerback, former teammate of Lamar Jackson at Louisville, a really, really good corner who has injury problems, right? I believe Jair has played only 16 games over the last 2.5 seasons, right, or 3 seasons. So he hasn't played a lot of football over the last couple of years, right? Dealing with a couple of different nagging injuries. All right. Now, I don't think the Ravens trade for Jair Alexander. I think the Packers are going to end up cutting them as a post June 1 cut. I was listening to a podcast. I think it saves the Packers around $7 million or just a little bit under $7 million. So to me, that's the route the Packers are going to take, right? Because I don't see a lot of teams trading for Jair, knowing his injury history, taking on a contract. It's too much risk when the Packers can just cut him, right? I don't think teams are going to give in to get in, and trade for him, right? Now, that's the guy that I can see beyond the Ravens, right? He's going to be cut. He's going to go into free agency, so it's not going to affect, comp picks in the future. How Eric DeCosta cares about that kind of thing, right? And obviously, the Ravens have a need at CB2, right? Now, that's not to say I don't have faith in Marlon Humphrey or Nate Wiggins. Of course I do. I love those guys. But as we saw last year, Marlon does a lot of good work in the slot. Marlon is not a slot corner only. Marlon, to me, can play anywhere. But, if you could bring in a guy like Jair to boost up the cornerback room, that is something that I can see the Ravens really taking a shot on and doing it because it kind of fits with their MO of the past, right? Veteran player, going to be on their third contract, maybe a little iffy injury history, or maybe had a down season prior. Yeah, let's take a chance on that guy. It's going to be a slight discount, and we can bring in a one-star player to the Ravens and possibly really turn that around. And everybody's gonna be like, "Wow, how did the Ravens pull off this signing?" right? Ravens like doing that kind of thing, right? So if it comes down to out of these three players we talked about, J.C. Horn, Jair Alexander, DK Metcalf, right? The most logical, the most obvious person is signing Jair Alexander after he's probably going to be cut from the Green Bay Packers, right? To me, that's the most obvious thing. That's the most logical thing. That's the most Ravens-like thinking. That's what we're talking about here, right? Um, I don't want to sound like, dismissive and rude or whatever, but it's not Madden, right? If it was up to me, I would trade I would trade with DK Metcalf, get that second round pick out of here, and I would pay him his money, right? Because this is the kind of talent, this is the kind of guy that we have been begging for Lamar Jackson to play with, right? But at the end of the day, it's real life, and we know, at least we should know by now, how the Ravens organization operates, right? This kind of move with DK Metcalf will be so far out of left field. I just can't see it happening. Right now, I'm going to end the video there. Obviously, give me your thoughts in the comments, man. Like I said, I'm trying to get back into algorithm, guys, so you can help me out. Like the video, share the video, comment, and if you're new here, you like the content, go ahead and subscribe button, man. But it's Gabriel to Fan TV. I'm out.